we are beginning with Power Panel 4 right away. Delving deeper, here the topic for this panel discussion is best practices in workshop profitability and business growth. And here I would like to give you some more gems from the industry who I am proudly and delightfully presenting before you, and the one to lead the pack is Mr. Arun Malhotra, auto industry veteran, session chair as well. Sir, we welcome you very, very warmly. No, this can't happen. Everyone from the WAF team spoke so highly of him. The claps cannot go meeker than this. They have to be louder, full throttle. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. He has over 3 decades of experience with Bajaj Auto, Maruti, Suzuki, Mahindra and Nissan India, where he served as a managing director. Currently a strategic consultant, advisor and professor of practice at IITs. He's a prominent keynote speaker at industry forums like FADA, SIAM, NASSCOM and CII, sharing insights on sales, marketing and strategic growth across industries. You know the drill. We welcome you once again, sir. Next one is Mr. Pankaj Narula, former ED, Maruti, Suzuki, India. Welcome, welcome, sir. I think I should sing the song for you. Abhi na jao stage se ki dil abhi bhara nahi. Aap stage pe hi ruk jaye, sir. He's done so many ups and downs of late that I really want to sing that song for him. He's a graduate in physics from Delhi University, as an engineering graduate from King's College University of London. He has been associated with reputed organizations like British Aircraft Corporation, Schlumberger, Thorn EMI, British Leyland, Austin Morris Limited and Maruti Suzuki India. Chairman Service Head Group Committee of SIAM and Institute Management Committee IMC ITI PUSA. His vision of creating devoted customers resulted in MSIL being awarded the prestigious JD Power Award for Best in Customer Satisfaction 17 times in a row. 17 times in a row. What does he deserve? Nothing less than a ginormous round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, sir. Here I would like to bring forth Mr. Vinkesh, Gulati, Executive Committee Member, FADA. Sir, we welcome you with a lovely smile on his face. He's coming towards the stage. He's a distinguished business strategist and automobile enthusiast, holds numerous leadership roles that highlight his extensive expertise and influence. With a background in law and a master's in management, he has made remarkable contributions to the automotive and education sectors. A key figure in FADA for over 16 years, his impact is profound. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome him once again. Good evening, sir. Now we have Mr. Anuj Tyagi. Sir, it's a delight to welcome you back on stage. Former National Head After Sales, Ford India. By the way, sir, I was a loyal customer with Ford. I was a very loyal customer. I loved it. I was very, very sad when the thing happened and they're no longer supplying it. I was really sad because I loved my Ford car.
The decision was beyond my pay grade.
I know. Well, I'm just mentioning my heart's went. Yeah.
I completely empathize.
Okay, but we are very glad to have you here with us today. And he's a seasoned automotive leader with 25 plus years of expertise in sales, after sales, network development and customer experience. Known for innovation and strategic execution, he has driven profitability, expanded dealer networks and achieved record customer satisfaction across Ford and Honda. Honda is my present car. So I can't leave this, okay? Okay, so can we have... Sir, I thank you specially because every time I say this, before I complete it, you just bow down and do what is needed. I so love you for this. Next, I would like to give you Mr. Rajeev Chauhan, Head Electric PV Business, BYD India. Sir. Yes. We welcome you, sir. He's a visionary automotive leader with 25 plus years of experience at brands like Honda, Volvo and BYD. As head of electric PV business at BYD India, he excels in retail optimization, electrification and digital transformation, driving market share, profitability and customer satisfaction. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Ah, ah, ha, ha, ha. I think you guys are getting used to me, I'm getting used to you. Thank you. You smile, I smile. You clap, I clap. I love this chemistry. Now, I would like to give the entire space to Mr. Arun Malhotra, auto industry veteran, as the session chair. Sir, over to you. Thank you.
So good afternoon. You know, one of the challenges of being in the last session is two. One, the asking rate goes up. Second, the Duckworth-Lewis method starts operating. So the overs get reduced, you have to score more runs. And then the time clock is there. The timekeepers to the nation on the right, left, and that side who keep pointing at you. Time is up. And I still remember that particular incident when Madhuri Dixit was dancing in Filmfare and the plug was put out by the Mumbai police. And we're not mentioning that we are anyway related to Madhuri Dixit or anyway closer to her. But that's the reality. But having said that, the topic of today, I mean, it's a topic old as the hills. We are talking of business growth and workshop profitability. And, you know, we've got very eminent and diverse people. Because today's age, diversity is the key thing. Everybody talks about diversity. So we have got a diverse panel. So that's a unique part of it. You know, when you look at business growth, you know, after sales, and this I learned from Mr. Narula, कि आप customer का ध्यान रखो, तो आपकी जेब का ध्यान रखेगा. So, you know, there is a very strong relationship between customer satisfaction, satisfaction to retention, retention to reference, and reference to profitability. And it is a vicious, not, it's a virtuous cycle. And if you don't take care of it, it's a vicious cycle. Now, there are best practices which are there. And best practices, a lot of people might say, the auto industry is so diverse. There is two-wheelers, there's three-wheelers. Even the commercial vehicles, there are three categories: small commercial vehicles, medium commercial vehicle, heavy commercial vehicle, then there are passenger vehicles, and then there are luxury cars. So, can there be some common ground? Having said that, there are a lot of common grounds, irrespective of the customer profile, irrespective of the product, irrespective of the usage. And this relationship of business growth, and we're talking of profitability workshop. And there's an old saying, Gita का ज्ञान, जैसे कर्म करेगा वैसे फल देगा भगवान. ये है गीता का ज्ञान. तो वर्कशॉप में सर्विस वालों को कर्म योगी बहुत स्ट्रांग होते हैं. So I will start with the biggest कर्म योगी. I would say he's the Bhisham Pitama of the auto sales service, of the auto industry and also of the after sales industry. I'll start with Pankaj. So Pankaj, now, you know, 2-3 things on a serious note. You know, today there is this, everybody is talking about technology, this thing, this will change the world. But you have seen after sales from you run an entrepreneurial workshop, most successful workshop for Maruti Suzuki, you handle after sales service, you handled sales planning and other things, key functions also. What are the practices? And Maruti has been the torch bearer, 17 years in running the JD Par. What are the practices which have not changed with time? You know, it's like the Hindi films. कल भी प्यार था, आज भी है और कल भी रहेगा. तो ऐसी कौन सी practices हैं which have not changed at all, which are unique, but they need to be probably reinforced or revitalized. So what have stood the test of time? You can't go away from those.
Arun, you started off the customer retention, which is from customer satisfaction. And just a few moments back, we heard from Anuj, it's the basics. Basics you can't leave. Technology may change, technology may evolve over a period of time, but you have to follow the basics. And the main thing is, if the customer is satisfied, customer will keep coming back to you. He will keep coming back to you for workshop business, and he'll keep coming back to you for buying a new car. And he will be your brand ambassador. Now, how do you keep him satisfied? You need to give him a proper service, take his feedback. Now that is where one thing is very, very important, that we must study the feedback from the customer. And the customer feedback has been there right from the beginning. And if I go back to 1983, when Maruti started selling the cars and we started servicing the vehicles and all that, we had a small customer card, customer feedback card. Now there it used to, you know, you used to incentivize the customer to send it back. And it was written on that card, if you send it back, you will be entitled to a surprise gift. Now, the reason was more and more customer feedback you get, more and more insight you have on what improvements you can make in your systems, where are the problems, which are the areas where the countermeasures are required. So that basic thing of customer voice, that basic thing of taking action on what the customer is saying is very important. Now, maybe over a period of time, the technology has evolved. From that feedback card, we started having some kind of a system at the workshop so that you could press the button on the computer system and say, are you satisfied or not? If you're satisfied, how would you rate? That kind of thing. Would you send your friends and relatives to our workshop for service, or, referral system. So then we started having WhatsApp. We used to send WhatsApp to the customer to give the feedback. We used to send email. We used to have customers, call centers, where, you ring up the customer, find out, although it becomes sometimes very annoying that you keep on receiving calls from the call center saying, साहब आपकी गाड़ी सर्विस हो गई, क्या आप satisfied हैं, नहीं अच्छा satisfied हैं, तो आप हमें 10 की rating जरूर दीजिएगा. So there is again, system of increasing that thing. But ultimately, what we are trying to do is catch customers' voice, take action on it, take countermeasures so that the customer is satisfied and he keeps coming back to you. So that's where your profitability comes. That means if he's coming back, he's bringing more service business to you. And if he's coming back, your business growth is there. So both the objectives which Arun mentioned, business growth and profitability, will meet if you are taking care of the customer by listening to him.
So great, Pankaj. So if I have to compress, I won't say compress, but put it in one line, the sense from the customer, this is a message to all manufacturers, is there's an old Jitendra movie which title was Meri Awaaz Suno. So customer ki awaaz suno. And there's another old Hindi song, वो गरीबों की बात थी, हम गरीब नहीं कहेंगे, गरीबों की सुनो तुम्हारी सुनेगा, तुम एक पैसा दोगे वो 10 लाख देगा. So that's the essence which I think Pankaj, he didn't say it that way, but that's the essence I took from it. Coming to Anuj, you handle also sales and service, and you handle in the passenger vehicle industry. So there's a thought which Pankaj shared with you, that voice of the customer, where you capture it, and it's not a question of capturing it, but acting upon it, proactively. I still remember his guru, of who I consider as not the guru, is the guru of the entire customer satisfaction journey in the country, was Dr. Kumar. And I remember one thing about him. If a customer complaint came, which customer had been mistreated, at the age of 58, tears used to start coming in his eyes. If he was going for dinner somewhere and he found a customer vehicle stranded, he will give his car to the customer himself, take a three-wheeler or taxi. Now that's a passion. So from your perspective, one is listening to the voice. What are things you learned, which are practices which are immemorial, which have stood the passage of time?
No, I think I'm completely with the school of thought that Pankaj just explained. Because when it comes to basics, I would say, and I'll get it to a more operational level in the interest of time, not repeating what Pankaj sir just said. I mean, it all starts from something as basic as whether the dealerships have the right database of their customers. So it starts from the integrity and quality of database itself, and whether the database is safe enough. Okay. Because what happens is, with all the rating business coming into place, most of the OEMs would place, a lot of incentives on CSI and all of that. And India is really, really sharp on how to, manipulate things. And what you started seeing is the dealerships not even having 50% of their databases which are right. So I know of cases where the dealership believes that they are doing a great job because they're getting a very good feedback, but the feedback is coming from numbers which are not genuine customer numbers. So it starts from there. And second is the fact that once you have the right database, you need to be actively engaged with the customers. Okay. And through that, you can try and make sure that you are making efforts for retaining the customers to your workshops. But where again, you slip up is not having the rightly trained quality of manpower. What it does is I can have a technician, instead of, let's say, 30,000 rupees, I'm giving 20,000 rupees. But what most of our dealer partners do not understand is whether the time being taken for any of the repairs is in tune with the FRH that the customer is paying to you. So if you have a trained manpower, he can complete a job in 30 minutes, and that's what the customer is paying you for. But if you have a untrained manpower, you end up spending 1.5 to 2 hours on the same job and getting paid for 30 minutes. So these are some of the things which you can really work upon without impacting the customer's convenience, and also making sure that your profitability is increased. Something as basic as, जब रिपेयर ऑर्डर खुलता है, स्टार्टिंग में कस्टमर रिपोर्ट करता है, क्या हमारी डीलरशिप पर एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव चेक होता है in terms of understanding what are the issues, whether we are doing the right level of checks, to be able to share with the customer what are the possible jobs which are there, capturing them, explaining to the customer. And I'm sure, in one of the previous discussions, the person said that customer पैसा खर्च करना चाहता है. ऐसा नहीं है customer को पैसा खर्च करने में problem है. What they are seeking is they are not cost conscious, they are value conscious. So if you have been able to diagnose that there is a possible job work which is required in your car, explain it to the customer in a transparent manner, you will end up getting the job approval. So essentially working on the basics is something which is, and you can keep on adding IT to support that. But ultimately, as they say, आप sweet dish से पेट नहीं भर सकते हो. Ultimately, खाना आपको basic खाना है.
So Anuj, you talked to 2 points. One is having the data right, because if you need to increase business, you have to data right. And sometimes it is a challenge. I don't want to blame only dealers for it. It's both sides, manufacturing dealers. Sometimes the data now, the clarity of data is quite clean. I remember when I was starting the DMS project in Maruti Suzuki, some of the data we saw would make even David Dhawan blush, because it was as far from reality from the David Dhawan movie. That was the touch style of the data which was there. I mean, in 100 customers of Jhumri Talaiya, 200 people from where, I know where they existed, but that's part of it. But coming to you, Vinkesh, you represent the voice of the dealer. And I've seen with time that you used to be a very attacking batsman like Krishna Shrikant. Now you become more reserved in your statements and words. I've observed you over the years, your metamorphosis which is there. But I'm sure you get the voice of dealers across the board. So what are practices? I'm sure the dealerships which have grown over time are the ones which have also focused on customers after sales service. Because sales can come and down and there'll be ups and downs. So from your side, what you have seen, what are these practices which have stood the test of time?
Thanks, Arun boss. Frankly, I don't want to contradict anything here, but no customer wants to come into a workshop if it's an unscheduled visit. Okay. And an unscheduled visit never is initiated because of something done by the dealership. It's always done by something which is not good in the product. If a customer as a design has to come once a year and he's coming to the dealership, there'll be no issue at the workshop, because those are normal services, periodical maintenance which is done, where our manpower is 100% trained because they are doing that since they were born or since they were in the system. The problem only arises when a new thing crops up because of the kind of changing atmosphere. Regulations due to safety, due to environment, advancement because the customer wants more features, OEMs wants to differentiate their product from another product to sell more. All this leads to sometimes half-baked product or a 95% baked product to be sold in the vehicles, today in the market. So practically, if I remember pre-COVID and post-COVID, what is the biggest problem dealers are facing is only unscheduled visit. And unscheduled visits to the tune where they don't have anything as a solution. Because if I take a ratio, pre-COVID when the features weren't major thing in a product to be sold, only 10% or 5% cases went for PVT or a plant support or a tech liner support, which means you have to move out of workshop to external OEM person to support you. Today it's approximately 50%. I'm talking of unscheduled visit, where my manpower doesn't know what to do. So we have very good diagnostic tools, no doubt. But we don't have any analytical power to diagnose and do the work, because we diagnose with the tools we give, what is green, what is red, or whatever. This is wrong, this is... And then we send it to a person who's sitting somewhere remote, who's obviously more learned, and then he says, okay, try this, shift this from this, and my person is doing. Because that person handles some 30, 40 odd dealerships, to solve the same problem what my Kotek or a person can do in the counter at the dealership, he may take an half an hour, 2 hours max. That person takes around 2 days to give me a solution. And after 2 days, what solution he has given, do I have that part to replace? I don't know. I have to order it again. Which means a customer problem which the vehicles were not that complex as today was solved within a day. Today it takes a week minimum if I don't know what is the problem is. Whereas those are the same technicians, same service advisors.
But the practices which are common behind, they will remain constant or they would change?
So a lot of things is changing.
It's like technique.
So a lot of things are changing. So like when we talk...
The changes later, but anything which has stood the test of time. You say, these were the 4 attributes of a good
So I'll tell you...
which have, whoever has followed them, his probability of scoring runs or success is 80%.
So it's more not of the technical skills. I feel this is the more of the soft skills what dealerships have.
Okay.
The dealer which has been best in customer satisfaction is always the person who has handled the customers well, or was there for the customer when the customer needed more. Because see, a lot of things at the dealership are not in control of the dealership. It's what OEMs have trained us. So practically what comes from above is passed down. It's just like a post office. We were trained to do this, we are doing this. If it doesn't work well, then we have to go back to them. So overall, whichever dealership, you take the name, the big ones or the small ones, the best thing for them had been they had a very good front office or a front team which knew their customer well. Their relationship with the customer was awesome. And with times, it has grown. So if a dealership which was maybe a Ford dealership resigned, took a Jeep dealership, resigned, took a Maruti dealership or a Mahindra dealership, the customers who were good, like she said, happy with Ford with the dealer, that customer will shift from Ford to again to Jeep or Maruti or Mahindra, wherever. So that's kind of the relationship we continue taking in. If our front team, not even after service, even our bosses or the dealer principal is open to customer feedback and has a very good soft skills to handle them.
So, you know, what Vinkesh said is, you know, one is the challenge will always be there. With the changing technology, he mentioned, you know, it's becoming more and more difficult because companies also try new things. So many sensors, so many ECUs, and so many things are fitted in that it's a difficult proposition in itself. And it's not only for the EV vehicles, it's for every vehicle today. And softer elements, that mean people who are imagined ki dil ka rishta kaayam karte hain, that, you know, relationship which is there. The probability of the customer engaging with you and even overlooking you will be overlooking faults and will be there, you'll be able to hold better. You know, if I have to sum it up in 3 words, a dealer can have problems on 3 counts. जैसा आपने फर्स्ट पॉइंट बोला, मजबूर है, भाई मैं क्या करूं, मुझे पता ही नहीं करना क्या है, वो माफ हो जाएगा. और दो म होते हैं, मसरूफ और मगरूर. मसरूफ हुआ बिजी है, मेरा टाइम ही नहीं है कस्टमर के लिए, और मगरूर है मैं एरोगेंट हूँ, तूने जो करना जो है, मेरे पास तो कस्टमर की लाइन लगी है.
सर प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि
अभी मजबूर है, मसरूफ है, मगरूर है.
जस्ट लेट मी कंप्लीट. प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि मेरी वर्कशॉप हैंडल करने के लिए बनी है दिन की 20 गाड़ी, और मेरे पास टीम पूरी है फॉर 20 व्हीकल्स. ना पता लगता है कि उस 20 में से 10 ऐसी गाड़ी आ गई जो मेरी मजबूरी है कि मैं उसे ठीक भी नहीं कर सकता. इट टेक्स अवे माय बेस स्पेस, इट टेक्स अवे माय मैन पावर स्पेस, इट टेक्स अवे माय सो अब पता क्या लगता है कि मेरे पास 20 गाड़ी की वर्कशॉप में 10 गाड़ी की स्पेस है काम करने के लिए, कस्टमर 20 रेगुलरली आ रहे हैं. सो पॉइंट इज देन डिससैटिस्फैक्शन स्टार्ट्स. सो द प्रॉब्लम, सी आजकल DHC की बात है, डीलर हैंडलिंग कंसर्न्स की बातें होती है, बट द पॉइंट इज डीलर हैंडलिंग कंसर्न्स नेवर स्टार्ट फ्रॉम डीलर. इट स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम अ प्रॉब्लम विच केम इन हिज व्हीकल, जिसका हमारे पास आंसर नहीं होता.
So that's what I get it, right? You know, EV, I mean, you handled EVs, you've been part of the industry before EVs. I mean, EV is your new role, your new avatar. But when you speak here, you don't speak only for your own company, you speak for the entire EV landscape. You know, if this factor of uncertainty which Nick is mentioning, Vinkesh, unknown uncertainty. So in EV, whether as somebody mentioned, it's much simpler. Somebody mentioned Ohm's law. V is equal to RI वाला फॉर्मूला किसने मेंशन किया? अनुज, हाँ, सतीश जी ने किया. पर हाँ, मैंने, we'll get back to you. But it was as simple as Ohm's law. Then I don't think people are, the more educated people than cars, they are buying less CVs. So they don't understand Ohm's law. The three-wheeler driver understands Ohm's law, or a two-wheeler driver understands Ohm's law. For EV perspective, what are the practices internationally or something which you have learned from the lower end? Because EV's penetration has gone, which are unique, which are different from IC engine vehicles. How it is going to be different?
Sure. Veterans are sitting, so I'm really feeling small.
You know, when you say veterans, veterans ka ek hota hai. You know, once when Muhammad Ali was fighting with a new wrestler, and he was asked, ki, Bhaiya, you are fighting the greatest. So he said, you know what he said? He may be the greatest, but I am the latest. So that's more important.
No, I'll warm up. That's fine. But very, very, very interesting discussion. I was hearing Pankaj sir, Anuj and Vinkesh made their points. There are some fundamental things, and I would not spend too much time on those fundamental things. And it is about the, you know, overall service business profitability. With respect to EV, there has to be some kind of recalibration which needs to be done. I give a couple of examples here. For last 20 years, I'm sure many of you who are sitting here, there is a small metric that we kind of started using and to measure how good the service profitability is. It is not a financial ratio. It is called service absorption ratio, right? Mm-hmm. So that has stuck. And that stuck a chord with the dealer principal also, investor also. Mm-hmm. So he is also, besides return on sales, he is also trying to find out that what is the level of service absorption ratio. So, that thing stays in EV as well, but it has to be recalibrated. We know that, I mean, all of us having spent 20, 30 years in the industry, we know that in a mature market, in 3 years of timeline with kind of our business model, with interest rates that we have, 3 years, you typically reach to a level of 80%, right? 80% service absorption ratio, which is absorbing all the expenses done by the dealership through your service gross margin. But in EV, it has to be done slightly differently because the comeback ratios, etc., are different, and therefore the network planning of EV has to be slightly different. It has to be, you have to accommodate a greater return which is coming into picture, and you have to bet on sales. Sales is the engine, we all know, but then it is a little longer time. So capacity planning, service capacity planning has to be done slightly differently, and that's what I think most of the industry in EV, we are the only EV players, let's say, which has only EV as the product, but what is the ratio of your EV in your car park? Based on that, capacity planning has to be done. Another thing which I think Vinkesh pointed out, which I noticed, it was not there 20 years before. There was a maintenance level technician course, there is a repair level technician course, there is a diagnostic level technician. Those kind of courses were happening over, in 3 or 4 years, a dealership technician is proficient to undertake all kind of repairs. But now the situation with not only EVs, but the new tech cars, which is the technology which is coming in. What I see, most of the players who have their EVs at the OEM side, they have done a slight reorganization. And that reorganization is not the typical area service manager or a regional service manager who is responsible for parts, labors, and typical things. But the OEM has deployed, let's say, 5 to 6 technical specialists, so that the support which is required at the dealership can be provided immediately. So that is a new thing that I see, which is emerging, and it is helping. But just one last thing, we also see that, the training courses, what we mentioned, and it is not, again, specific to EV, because the pace of the features introduction is quite massive, it's quite frequent. The online sessions, of course, are taking preference. A one hour online session every week, so that you can have a coverage of entire network. So that is also helping. So these are the new things which are emerging.
So the new paradigms also, where we need to reinforce the present what we are doing, but there are new paradigms which you have to look at it. And online training was something, because train, retrain. How many times people can send? Pankaj, there's one question which is generally asked when performance and profitability. And I'm just moving away to the new private chain hospitals. You go to a doctor, without looking at a face, he'll give you 3-4 advanced tests. Apna ECG kara lijiye, ultrasound kara lijiye. Blood is a very small thing. So, this is one criticism which comes, that in the pursuit of too much performance profitability, things which are not required to be repaired is being done, or things which are like Teflon coating and add-on thing. So how do you see that you need to be focused on customer without this thing, but still be profitable? It's a very double-edged thing, that you need to be profitable. Okay, I need to look after the customer. And workshops require very heavy investment. Vinkesh will tell you, the land, if all the dealers converted the land estate into commercial complexes or to think, they would be, their next 6 generations can live happily ever after. So from that perspective.
Arun, there is a black sheep everywhere. So you will have in your network somewhere or the other who would be wanting to go for quick returns. But those people don't stay for long. It all depends on the philosophy that the management has. Philosophy of the dealership management, and that also flows from the OEM management. Maruti started production, incidentally, 14th December in 1983. Today again, 14th December, we are there.
And Pankaj was part of Maruti the day production started. He joined Maruti 1 year before. So give a big hand to Pankaj.
So now you can assess my age also.
So he started his career 2 years before me. So you can assess his age.
No, that was in India only, but I'm much older than you, because I had some years outside India also. Never mind. Coming back to this thing, you see, what I have seen is, in Maruti, the philosophy has been there, and thanks to people like Mr. Bhargav, Mr. Khattar, Dr. Kumar, customer orientation. They have inculcated that philosophy, inculcated that discipline in people down below, right down to the service engineer level. I remember, and Arun was also in that meeting, after being in many different departments, having been heading different areas, when I came back to the factory, and there I was sitting in the very first MCM after coming back to the factory. MCM is management committee meeting. It used to happen on every Tuesday, where people heading all the different divisions were there. Mr. Khattar was there, and he saw me sitting there. The first thing he told me, Pankaj, what are you doing here? I said, today's MCM, so I'm supposed to attend the MCM. But there was flooding in Bombay. So I had taken action. I was, people were started working. You should be there. So that is what, and when I heard that, I was totally taken aback. Yes, that is my responsibility. I should be there rather than in MCM, which I thought was more important than there. So this is a kind of philosophy. This is a kind of values which the company has. And, again, going back to that, whether it was Surat flood or Kashmir flood or Bombay floods or whatever, with large number of vehicles of every manufacturer, and we had more number of vehicles on the road, so we had more numbers which were affected. our management took a decision that we will produce one less vehicle than having one vehicle off-road because of the want of the part. And Maruti stood by it. And that kind of philosophy, that kind of value was there right from the top to the bottom, that we have to take care of the customer. So yes, there is many a times a tendency to make the fast buck, but then it depends on the management. And I have seen dealers successful, I have seen dealers expanding, gone to so many different cities, large number of workshops. I know some dealers who have more than 3,000, 4,000 staff. They have grown because their seriousness and focus on service. So it does help in business growth, and they must have made profit, that's why they expanded.
So, I think what Pankaj just said clearly is that, and this is a very important lesson for dealerships or anybody in business. People who had good customer practices and who had good employee practices with certain financial discipline, they have succeeded. And those who have not followed these three tenets, they have failed. Irrespective of how shrewd, smart, lucky would have been. So that's part of it. Now, this is, and just to take Pankaj's story over, so that when Mr. Khatter asked him that, what are you doing here? He went to Bombay, didn't return for 23 days. So I joked with him, are you a local service representative or are you a head of service? 23 days he was sitting in Bombay. And because thousands of vehicles were this thing which is there. So he never came back. पता नहीं संडे को आ जाते थे वापस भाग जाते थे कि आए नहीं हमने तो नहीं देखा अभी शक्ल 23 दिन तक.
You see, okay, no, that's when my boss tells me,
no, but that's a passion.
So that is what I have to take it so serious. So I also realized.
And no other company's service head was sitting there. I mean,
we had organized, we had a hotel, we had people from all over the country coming there. Spare parts were flown from here to the, whichever spare parts were not available, they were taken, they were flown from Suzuki, Japan. All that kind of things were there. Vehicles, the spare parts were taken from the production line to be sent to those areas. Because that's how the things happen. So in Surat, the similar thing was there. And I remember the meeting I attended with Mr. Modi along with his, all the secretaries and all the different manufacturers and insurance people. He said in next 25 days, I don't want to see any vehicle on the road which is not repaired. So whether it's insurance approval, whether it is repair of vehicles, whatever it is. Number one, within a week, take all the vehicles from the road. I don't want to see any vehicle stranded on the road. So this is the kind of, the focus which is required, and people then have to work towards that.
So Anuj, Pankaj has made us all emotional and sentimental on this issue, and he's himself emotional in the sense which I can see him. No, but it's on a serious note. But there must be some things which have not been done in the past or probably were dormant, which are being done now or which need to be done better. Can you throw light on that?
So I think, frankly speaking, I tend to agree with most of the others in terms of, sticking to basics. And some of the things which have really been come on the fore is, and this is where the play of technology comes in. Okay. So as Pankaj said, taking the feedbacks and working on that, it becomes much more easier now to be able to get the feedback in, understand, analyze, and then act on the same, rather than the good old days of the postcards, getting sent across and it's a faster. And at times with the pace at which things are moving, speed is the essence. So even as they say that for any product, there can be a possibility. There is no zero error product. Okay, and that is why the warranties and stuff like that are there, because it is expected that something can go wrong. But it is how quickly you have been able to turn it around is something which really matters for the customer's perspective. And customer is also genuine enough and understandable enough to be able to appreciate why it is taking time, why not. If it is that been explained to him in the rightful manner, in a very, very transparent perspective. And then obviously you need to really use some of those technologies in terms of, predicting your part supplies, parts requirements, because that's also seasonal. As Sir said, that was a huge thing which happened in Mumbai. But today's time, we know that this is the time frame where there will be waterlogging happening, let's say in Chennai every year. Okay.
So proactive action.
So you need to work proactively, whether, making sure that, so I remember we used to, because we know this is a momentary thing, so we cannot expect the dealers to add manpower for these 2 months or 3 months. We used to get technicians from co-dealers outside of that state. So for Chennai, we were getting people from Bangalore flowing in or from Cochin flowing in. Okay, for this period of time, you need to be there, and then that's the role of the OEM comes into play.
So that's collaborative approach which is
collaborative
there.
Approach, and the OEM has a very, very significant role in terms of proactively understanding what the possible requirements would be, and also making sure that there is a collaboration, and all of that has to happen not at the cost of dealer profitability.
Okay, so that's a very important point he says. You can experiment on the dealer's head everything, but the dealer profitability is important. No, Vinkesh, I'm not getting into profitability, but I believe COVID has been a watershed moment as far as every industry is concerned. Post-COVID, do you think some unique practices in service have emerged which is helping business growth or profitability? Or the different way of looking at business in service?
It's not COVID actually. I feel COVID was the era when the vehicle's quality, features and transshipment happen. And now the basic issue is we don't get a lot of mechanical issues in the vehicle, basically. So engine overall and those things are now, all the vehicles have become too good today. And they don't need those kind of problem. I still remember 30 years back when I joined business, people used to check when the vehicle service came, ki wo dhuan to nahi nikal raha, kala dhuan and all those. Nowadays, we don't even hear about that. So the vehicles have improved a lot. What has changed
just one point. Retention is still a challenge on 5 years plus vehicles. So I'm just with that perspective.
So I'll come to that. So what has basically changed for us is we now have this service absorption ratio, I feel we'll have to redefine and come to make it into 2 parts, because service today is not a very profitable business, but body shop has become a very profitable business. So maybe we'll have to divide these 2 parts to understand which to pressure more, because service is important for the vehicle running, and taking a good SAR from regular maintenance is not good, because then the customer feels the pinch because his running maintenance cost increase. So as a dealership, the best thing should be that every dealership should maintain a big control that this normal services cost for the customer should not go up. But on the body shop front, they should be so good that the vehicles don't go out of their workshop to the unauthorized players to earn more. We are still profitable, it's not that, but maybe we'll have to now define these as two areas. And now if I talk about
but there's enough unfulfilled potential in service body shop.
Yeah, so I'm coming to service also. Now, what has happened service, we see more parts changes in brakes, in tires. So because of all those ADAS features and all those things which are giving new features, there are other issues cropping up because of that. So even in electric vehicle, I haven't dealt it, but what I input get that the tire changes are faster than as compared to ICE. I'm not right if we can add it. So those are the additional income sources which is coming with the new changes in the vehicle. Overall, services is still a very, very viable thing. SAR of 0.8, I know dealers who have SAR of 1.2, 1.3 also. And I know dealers who have only 2 showroom outlets, but they have around 3 or 4 service outlets, because like Pankaj ji said, they are earning a lot from service and they are doing great. But yes, overall, we'll have to redo how the service was 20 years back and how it's today. Yes, with the kind of electronics putting in, you can't expect a dealer to have a BTech computer science or a BTech electrical to be on the floor to correct it. We need now more support. 5 all India, maybe 50 all India, depending on how many vehicles of electric are on the road. And the way today's even ICE vehicle have so many ECUs in it. When we came to know there are some 50, 60 ECUs after the COVID. Before that, we thought it was one computer chip which was controlling.
We also came to know how much we were dependent on China. You never knew.
So practically all those complex things have changed how we work. The past is now actually past. The guru, chela and opening the oil and doing all that, spark plug and everything, those are things of past actually. Every day we find a new problem to understand, a new training to happen. And like he said, it's good now everything has become digital. So our team doesn't have to travel so much unless and until a new product is launched. So their productivity is better. We are able to earn better from them. But yes, the challenges are there, which all the dealers with the help of OEM are changing themselves to adapt to it.
You know, EV, since it's an unknown factor is high. One is that even if you have experience of different segments like two-wheelers or small or three-wheelers, it's may not be relevant for passenger vehicles. And there are some international also things, understandings. So how do you plan for that? How do you plan for new practices when there is not much precedence to fall back upon and not even much data to fall back upon?
So, okay. So there is one example. I think again, I'll just stick to the profitability, dealership profitability.
And profitability is, people are worried on EV profitability for service.
EV profitability.
So this I think Vinkesh didn't mention it, but I'll speak on behalf of Vinkesh. Because they say कि जब EV आ जाएंगी और moving parts less होंगे तो profitability कहाँ से आएगी service में?
No, Frank, yeah. So there is one practice which I see which is emerging. We all remember service campaign, right? 50 years, this is prevalent. Now service campaign nowadays, I have seen a couple of examples already. They are not for really in let's say in summers, in April or May, you put a service campaign, refrigerant dal dete hain, AC cooling check kar lete. Our vehicles have evolved. They are good. Now, you really can bank on them. What I've seen recently, couple of service campaigns, they said, okay, this is the service campaign, and the invitee, the invite was basically, okay, we will check your safety equipment, and we will also ensure that you have the latest software uploaded onto your car. So this was the hook, and in that hook, the dealerships and the OEM, okay, they thought about this. In that, they inspected the car for 1 hour and got to know the various opportunities on the small body and paint, which can be turned around within 1 day. So, you know, these are the kind of, you know, innovations which people are doing. And this, just one more point, I know time's up, but can we?
Yeah, 5 minutes will take.
5 minutes. Okay, there is one more thing which is even more relevant today. You spoke of, you know, service intervals getting reduced. EV, it is even more. One practice which is emerging, and perhaps it's by design in India, we had 50% of our dealerships which are 3S, and perhaps remaining are 1S and 2S, showroom at one place, and these people never talk. Even in 3S, they are not talking to each other. And there would be a sales process. This is the guide. And there is a service process. This is the guide. There's a big book which everybody is following. I acknowledge that. But between sales and service, there is a process which is emerging, handover. Okay, sales guy says in his mind, they're thinking, I collected my 50,000 rupees check, but to the service guy, he's saying, here is your post-dated check of 50,000 for 1 year. So, you know, and customer gets the confidence in that. Okay, this is the guy with whom I have to interact. So this is another, you know, marriage or the bridge crossing, which is happening.
So, you know, this, you say it's like a relay race where you hand over the baton and hand over the baton in proper manner.
Absolutely.
So that's part. We're coming to the end, but I still we'll have a rapid fire round. We need only short, crisp answers on this. So Pankaj, we start with you. Don't get worried, it's everything. 2 things which manufacturers are not doing to help service profitability, which they should start doing. Which they are not doing, which manufacturers should start doing.
I think manufacturers are doing everything possible to make the dealers profitable so that they can expand and do well.
Okay. So with this answer, I come to Vinkesh. 2 things which manufacturers are not doing, which should they do to make dealers' workshop more profitable?
He You can give.
I only need two, top two.
So I'm sorry, Pankaj.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Pankaj ji,
Okay.
and
So two, I only need two, the top two. As they say,
Sir,
ABC analysis.
I'll tell you what
And bullet points.
What the biggest thing they are not doing is the KRA or MOP of service team is never of dealership profitability.
Okay, so they
their
have to-
salary increment, their bonus payments
should
are
be
all internally. Whereas their KRA, the first point should be that dealer should be profitable in
Okay,
service.
so good.
If the dealer is happy, their customers will be happy because we are their first customers.
Okay.
But any of the service
Understood.
KRA,
Understood.
there are OEMs which have it. I'm not saying all doesn't have, but that point is in 6th or 8th or 10th point.
But the
It's
cigarettes-
never on the first
Light
point.
cigarette smoking injurious to health.
Yeah, it's that.
The second point, so that covers all two, or there's another point you want to say?
Sir, if they are responsible for our profitability, automatically everything is solved.
Okay,
boss.
कहते एक
We
कर
don't
दो
need- वही कर दे, बाकी सब हम संभाल
Okay,
देंगे.
coming to Anuj. Two things which dealers are not doing, which they should start doing to itself to make themselves better, more profitable and more business oriented.
I would say, to be very honest, and
Bullet points.
there would be exceptions, but involvement of dealer principal in their after sales operations
Okay.
versus the sales operations is significantly different.
Okay, so
Because they see a significant chunk of profitability coming in on new car sales,
so-
obviously.
So more focus of the dealer owner in the work.
So
that's
that is,
one.
that is something which
One.
is very, very basic. And the second is, if once you have that mechanism or the dealer involvement, I am 200% sure there will be enough and more opportunities without impacting dealer principal of the customer or even, cartofying customer.
Cartofying.
There will be a lot of opportunities to be able to earn better revenues,
Acha.
as I said, because if you come to think of it, all our
I get the
processes
point.
are
So,
towards that.
any other point? So, Raj, word to you, Rajeev, since you are the future. Huh? EV. So,
Which one?
so two things which dealers or EV dealers who are, there are a lot of companies who are exclusive EV like you, but a lot of companies which are moving into even big way, which they should start doing the dealers if they have to make their EV customers more happy and then more profitable for themselves.
I think it's top of the mind, but EV adoption would not really increase to the levels that we are asking if there is no collaboration with the external players. External players could be the call centers through which we are collaborating. Many people. The players are charger setup. Charge point operators. So this collaboration has to happen at a very quick pace.
So
that is I think the biggest
The
point.
biggest point, which is
Arun, just one thing which I
one
want
bullet
to
point
add.
last.
Yeah, one bullet point for the dealer in terms of profitability is, apart from the overall involvement, if they can just review their parts inventory and how are they managing it,
Okay,
is
so-
something, because that has been the single biggest bottleneck
point,
which really takes the...
We'll just take two questions, but make the questions crisp in 30 seconds and ask one of the panelists to answer in 1 minute. Yeah, question crisp in 30 seconds. The panelist will answer, and if you want to direct a question to any person, you can tell me, otherwise I will direct it.
Okay, Mr. Vignesh.
Huh?
Yeah, to him.
Vinesh, हाँ, बोलिए. Question crisp.
Yeah. Ease of doing business between the dealership and the OEMs. What is that going to play a role as far as the dealer profitability is concerned? Your views.
Ease of
Talking
doing,
from the service side.
service side, I think service side is ease of doing business. Ease of doing service.
See, I'll
business.
tell you very frankly, sales is very easy as compared to ease of doing business. Very, very easy because government is also not behind us, OEMs also not behind us. They are supporting us to do good. Service is one side where government is also behind us because of the pollution, CTP norms and all those things, putting us in orange category because of that, lot of things. The manpower requirement is huge as compared to sales. And the regular upskilling is really phenomenal, which can't be helped. If I talk about ease of doing business from the OEM side, Anuj ji said well, dealer principals don't even go to workshops. He's saying time. Ask any dealer principal, महीने में कितनी बार workshop में round लगाया, उसको याद नहीं होगा. So there are dealers who go regularly and they have a better response and better customer satisfaction. But why? Nobody is wanting to understand that. See, in sales is a management. which the dealer principal has
Understands.
studied, which he has gone through it. He has learnt that when he was even 5-year-old, sitting on that dining table with his father. But service he was never taught, not even by the OEM, not even by his alumni, college or schools, and even OEMs don't want them to teach, to know about that, because they want the control directly to the GM service or the service head, because it's easier to control them to get customer service than through them, because dealer principal will ask questions. Why will I do this? And then obviously it's an explaining point. I'm not blaming OEMs. This is how things have been since ages. Now what things have to be changed, there are a lot of dealer principal. I can give you at least 100 names which are better than OEMs. Our current president, Vinkesh, is a teacher for Toyota worldwide, how services is done in Coimbatore. His productivity is 16 vehicles per bay. His part ratio is, aging is 7 days or 9 days. And he has a team which checks how many seconds he can save of a manpower in a vehicle which is regularly auditing. So there are good quantity of dealers who are trying to put in. Sharvik in Rajasthan, he has taken a green certificate from CII from his workshop. But why some dealers who are themselves wanting to do it? As an OEM, OEM's duty should be that all dealers, same things of improvement should be done through them. So I feel that is what we are, because today everybody knows what a pain point is. हमारा glass जब गाड़ी workshop में change होती है, body shop glass का क्या करें मैं नहीं मालूम, हमें आज तक नहीं मालूम. But there are players who are working on it, and OEM knows that this is a problem. Glass, old oil, whatever. So there have been tie-ups, there have been things, but like I told you, the MOP or KRA of the service team is never ever dealer ease of doing business. It's always customer satisfaction. For customer satisfaction, what they want to do, they do it.
So okay, Vinkesh, last question, crisp and crisp reply, because otherwise the organizers will send their bouncers here. Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, 2 points.
1 point, not 2.
So quickly on the opportunity, if unscheduled services comes, even in hospital looks for some bimari, which is not only health checkup, yearly checkup, etc. It is not a problem. It is an opportunity for profitability to my FADA executive member. Second,
FADA, he's answered one question. So otherwise you'll be under MRTP Act. We have to give the answer question to some other person.
No, sir. I'm just sharing it's a response, not a question. Second,
it's an answer, question or a response?
Response. On the profitability of workshop, we have got huge database. Now, data analytics can be easily used to segment the customer database into who is our regular frequent flyer and who is the most dissatisfied customer, and the remainder messages and the remainder executive should be categorized. I mean, the one is a low-hanging fruit. We can, he is coming regularly, no customer complaints, no warranty problems. He can be just reminded by a normal executive. Whereas there is a tough customer, he had 2 complaints in the last year, he had spent maybe 16,000 or 10,000. We have to categorize using data analytics and target easily, and special executive should be put on that particular customer when we are reminding with an offer or a special message that last time it went wrong, we are sorry and please come to the workshop. So little intelligent targeting system will increase the workshop retention.
So intelligent targeting is important. That's
I'll add it here because Arun ji is my guru. मैं इनको contradict नहीं करना चाह रहा था. But fact is we are not like doctors. We don't charge diagnostic charges to the customer. The vehicle comes in, our team uses the diagnostic tool which is costing around 3 lakh rupees. The person who is trained on that is costing me 1 lakh per month. His training is 5 lakh rupees annual, but I don't charge that equipment cost from the customer because we are there to serve the customer. You also didn't go through that content when I said we don't want the regular maintenance to be costlier. We want customer to feel that he's bought a vehicle, the regular service is cheap, my maintenance. Whenever body shop is needed, I want to get a 1 lakh rupees PPF for a ceramic, that's his wish. He comes to my workshop, pays 5,000 for my regular service and pays 15,000 for value added. That's his call, and my service advisor's incentive what is pushing it. But overall, we as dealers are trying to have the lowest maintenance for the vehicle.
So coming to some substances, there are certain practices, practice from the heart, practices which are in the past which need to be done, and some current reality check. And as he said and Vinkesh mentioned an important point that companies must look at the KRA's perspective of dealer profitability. We've generated a lot of heat in the discussion. I don't know how much light we've generated, but that's all we could do. Thank you very much for a patient audience. Thank you very much.
There's a very cute poem that we all have learnt as a child. If you're happy and you know it, then you surely need to show it. If you're happy and you know it. And I'm sure we are certainly very, very happy from within, because when I was stepping onto the stage right now, I could see so many smiling faces in the audience. Aren't we really happy right now? I'm sure we had a very entertaining session, this one, along with whatever pearls of wisdom were spread. But we can't let them go like that. So first most, I would like to call on stage representatives from Nippon, if they're there. Yes, thank you so much. We're glad you're here. And also, I would like to call on stage Mr. Anuj Guglani. Sir, are you there? Yes. Anuj, I would like to dedicate one line of a song to you. Na? Jaane nahi denge tujhe. Okay, so here we begin with the felicitation for this particular panel. And first, I would like to bring forth Arun Malhotra, sir, auto industry veteran, session chair as well for this particular panel discussion. Sir, it was an absolute delight to hear it from you. And I would like to dedicate a line. Bande ye bindas hai, bande ye bindas hai. Cars ka gyan jhakkas hai, bande ye bindas hai. Isn't that true for him? Yes, 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 yes. There were a lot of thumbs up here. Thank you, sir. We are so glad to have you here with us today. Next, I would like to give you Pankaj Narula, sir, former ED, Maruti, Suzuki, India, sir. The claps for this gentleman should not cease. These are the veterans, the leaders who spared this beautiful evening with us today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. This is the same which I got in the morning also.
Okay. So we are being environment friendly. We are just being environment friendly. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time out. We are very happy to have you here with us today evening. Next, I would like to give you Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, Executive Committee Member, FADA. Sir, thank you so much. What a happy face he has. Happier faces in the audience, please clap bigger. Give enormous round of applause. This was such an entertaining panel, besides being just informative. Next, I would like to give you Mr. Anuj Tyagi, former National Head After Sales, Ford India. Anuj to Anuj, yes, the namesake. Next, let me call on stage. Sorry, he's already on stage. Let me bring him forth, Mr. Rajeev Chauhan, Head Electric PV Business, BYD India. Thank you so much. A big thank you to each one of you for sparing these moments and being a part of IVASS 10th edition. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. Please come forward for a wonderful picture.